Hello. Two quick programming notes before this episode. The entirety of this episode was recorded live, apart from this bit and my closing narration. The introduction takes place on a Doctor Who branded subway car in Times Square, New York City. The other three segments were all recorded live at the Gallifrey One convention in Los Angeles in February, an outdoor interview with Gary Russell about the novelization of The Star Beast, a dealer's room interview with friend of the show Dale Santos, who's on this show every year, and then a conversation with several friends at a hotel room at the LAX Marriott featuring David Barsky, Mark from Trap One, Stacy Smith, and our good friend Bill Evenson. I did record several other interviews at Gallifrey One, which you can hear on the Trap One episode that Mark and I, mostly Mark, put together at Galley back in February. That was already released on Trap One a few months ago. This is typically a show about Doctor Who novelizations put out by Target Books from 1973 onward in publication order, but at the end of every calendar year's worth of books, I like to do a bonus episode. From here on out, these are going to be called Doctor Who Literature Presents rather than quote-unquote bonus episodes. I am hoping to bring in a couple of guests of whom I am very big fans who are not necessarily Doctor Who related to give me a little more flexibility with the format. But this is entirely a Doctor Who episode, all 4 segments. And again, all the episodes were recorded outdoors or without headphones, so the audio quality is going to be a bit dodgy. And of course, the conversation with Dave and Bill and Stacy and Mark is a bit no holds barred, as typically happens when you get friends together at a convention. So I hope you enjoy these segments, and then next week we are back with another Doctor Who novelization, which I will tease at the end of this episode. Let's get to it.
Direction point! Direction point!
A Doctor Who podcast network.
Well, hi everybody. Welcome back to Doctor Who Literature, a member of the Direction Point Doctor Who podcast network. My name is Jason.
And I'm Callie.
We are coming to you live from the Doctor Who branded subway car, the S train, the shuttle between Times Square and Grand Central Station. In recognition of the new season of Doctor Who coming to you in the States on Disney Plus, beginning streaming on May 10th, they have branded the S train entirely in Doctor Who theme. The outside is a mural featuring Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson, the Doctor and Ruby Sunday, who we saw in the previous episode, Church on Ruby Road for Christmas. The inside of the car is decorated for a forthcoming episode where they are dressed in Regency clothes. Now, I am trying to avoid spoilers for the current year, so I don't know what the episode is, but I believe it's going to be the one that has Jonathan Groff from Hamilton and Frozen and many other things in it. Inside, there are lots of paintings on the walls. Your Cosmic Joyride awaits. The Diamond Doctor Who logo for the 60th anniversary. And instead of advertising, all the ads on the wall say,
Next stop, who knows?
Who knows? Also, Doctor Who, May 10th, Disney Plus. On the ceiling, it goes anywhere, anywhen, with the Doctor Who logo. What else do we see, Callie?
The portraits of the TARDIS on the walls.
That's right. His TARDIS is on the walls.
The seats are also decorated.
That's right. The seats are in the same Regency pattern. In all your life, did you ever think you'd be riding in a Doctor Who-themed subway car in New York City, the place of your birth?
Yeah, probably.
Because you were born not too far from this subway station.
Oh, the other cars are decorated differently.
Oh, well, let's go find out. We have pulled into Grand Central. The shuttle train only goes from Times Square to Grand Central. We're going to loop around like any good commuter. And we're going to come to you live from the next car after the break. And we're back in the second car. This one is decorated a very different pattern. Callie, take it away.
So it's got the same, advertisement, but instead of that, old, rich sort of vibe, it's very blue and purple, and still has, the two main, the Doctor and his companion, and there's, cosmic mountains, and all very galaxy-themed.
I imagine these are pictures from upcoming episodes, but since I am avoiding spoilers, I have no idea what those episodes are. It does say Your Cosmic Joyride awaits.
There's a wonderful little sun mural over there.
And there's also a New York City subway map. There has to be one in every car.
Now there's a third car that we're going to loop around to that is decorated in a very different pattern. Let's give it a try. We are now in car number 3, and this is a very different scheme.
This one looks to be the same episode because they're wearing the same outfits.
But if you look on the wall over there, we see volcanoes and dinosaurs. There's your basic stegosaurus. That volcano is shooting
not
lava.
A Stegosaurus.
Yes, it is. It's definitely a stegosaurus.
Wow.
It's got the...
That's a Spinosaurus.
Is it?
Unless it's the same thing.
Well, growing up in the 70s, dinosaurs were very different. Back when they were lizards, they weren't birds. There was a brontosaurus instead of the apatosaurus, but I'm pretty sure that's a stegosaurus, or a stegosaurus type.
They've got a fancy new
And there's a pterodactyl, too, over the S for S train.
They have a fancy subway map.
Oh, this is the new design subway map.
It's like geometric and gross. I hate it.
This is a flashback to a very infamous 1970s design.
I hate it.
You hate it.
I do.
Well, we are here at Grand Central.
And
when
we
the-
live down there.
in South Brooklyn. There's 2 S trains. The other S train is in Bed-Stuy, but that S train is not Doctor Who branded as far as I can tell. And there's actually lava on the seats. The last car is branded in what I call futuristic outer space. It's basically, it's an astronaut car. You can see the oceans from space. The walls are deep purple with white stars, and then you can see the planet Earth below. And there's the TARDIS over there. Callie, what were you and I doing in Times Square earlier?
Watching the screening of the Phantom Menace for the 25th anniversary.
Because today is May 4th, and what do we say in Star Wars terms? May the 4th?
Be with you.
Say that again once more with feeling.
No.
May the 4th be with you.
You can do that.
And I certainly shall. We are back in the dinosaur car. I would say this is my favorite of the 4 cars.
I like the old one.
This is, so we can assume there's going to be an episode that takes place 65 million years ago. And based on those volcanoes, I would say it doesn't look very good for the dinosaurs. So we are now in car number 5. Callie, what is the decor here?
It's like kind of 60s, but then also kind of 2024. A lot of like flowers and comic-y stuff.
Well, we see Union Jack sunglasses, we see Big Ben. We see everything that's British except for a Keep Calm and Carry On poster. There's a lot of graffiti. And the seats, so there are jump seats, and these are painted in a 1960s hippie floral pattern design. On the door that connects between subway cars, we see both a TARDIS and a red British telephone box. This is a very cool design. So this is the 5th car. We have 1 more car to go after this. Of the 5 so far, Callie, which is your favorite?
The old one. The first one we went to.
The Regency car?
Yeah, that one.
I like this one. Alright, this train is moving, and after we arrive at our next stop, which is back at Grand Central, we will bring you the final car. Welcome back to car number 6, the final car. Callie, what do we have here?
It just looks like the inside of the TARDIS.
Which makes it the coolest subway car in the history of subways.
The seats are like blue and like look like light. Look like they're emitting light.
The New York City subway first opened in 1904 on what is now the 6th train that connects City Hall and 42nd Street. This is probably my favorite subway car interior in the 121-year history of the New York City subway. This is the TARDIS car. I've spent most of my life waiting for the TARDIS to come and take me away, and now I am inside the TARDIS. If the TARDIS console were painted on a subway door. The final wall of the train, which separates us from the conductor, shows you a corridor leading off the console room, promising further adventure, but we're not allowed inside the conductor's cabin. One of the walls says your cosmic joyride awaits, and it's painted over the TARDIS roundels and the Doctor Who logo. Next stop, who knows? Anytime, anywhere. But for us, we are at 42nd Street, Grand Central. We're going to catch the 6th train back home. Coming up after the break, my interview with Gary Russell, recorded at Gallifrey One in Los Angeles back in February for the Star Beast novelization of one of last year's Doctor Who specials. Other novelizations are coming this year for this year's episodes. We don't yet know which stories or who the authors are. We'll bring you more detail on that when it's available. Meanwhile, enjoy the rest of the episode, and I'll rejoin you from my home recording studio at the end of the hour.
You are invited on an adventure across all of time and space, in a completely random order. It's the Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. Jump in the TARDIS with your hosts,
Eric Gulbranson,
Asad Kheshki,
and
Matthew Kressel.
explore Doctor Who TV stories, audio adventures, and books, both novels and non-fiction. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast. It's the entire Whoniverse. On Shuffle. The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast is a member of the Direction Point Network and is available about once a month wherever you find your podcasts. You are listening to the Doctor Who Literature Podcast.
So we're sitting here at Gallifrey One with Gary Russell. Gary, thank you so much for talking to us.
My absolute pleasure. I just apologise for the noise in the aeroplanes, which is nothing to do with me, but I feel I should apologise anyway.
So we're here to talk about the Star Beast. When I spoke to you at Li Who about 6 months ago, I was shocked, shouldn't be shocked, at least surprised to learn that you had already turned in the manuscript for the Star Beast novelization when you arrived at Gallifrey One last year, a year ago. And Star Beast did not air until late November 2023. Can you talk to us about how were you commissioned for the book, and what is the process of writing a book for an episode so far in advance when you cannot have seen the final product?
Well, I'll do the second part of that first. It's actually not seeing the final product isn't that difficult, because what you need for a novelization is to see enough that you know what the characters look like, you know what the sets and locations look like. Well, that's all there in the early version I saw. You don't need to see the actual refinement of visual effects and things like that, because, it's a spaceship, well then it's a spaceship. The fact that it's going to have some pretty decals put on it or something doesn't really affect you when you're writing it. And in the case of the spaceship, when I saw some pictures later on and I realised it was a sort of cobalt blue rather than silver, I was able to go back to the book and say, I just need to change all my references to the spaceship from being silver to being blue. So that kind of thing is very easy to do at the last minute. But actually, the rough cut I saw in December 2022 was certainly enough for me to do the novel with very, very little problems later on. And the process for that is, I guess, the same as anything with a novelization. You have a script and you sit and turn that script into prose, which is obviously not an easy thing and is a bit of an art form. And you have to sort of try and move things around so that in a TV script, short scene, short scene, short scene, short scene. In prose, you take those two short scenes and make one long scene, those two short scenes and make one long scene, without breaking up the flow too much, and you have to find a point of view character to tell the story through. But the practicality of it is you're working from a script and you get on and you do it.
When you began to write the book, were you under any special instructions to not change anything or to leave certain areas alone?
No. The only thing I've said this weekend, I'll probably get shot for saying this anyway, the only thing I remember saying one thing I wanted to do was whether I could change the newsreader into Trinity Wells, and was told no. And at the time, of course, I didn't know why I was told no. And then when I saw her turn up in the giggle, I went, that's why I wasn't able to use Trinity Wells. But that actually was quite a blessing, because I realised that the newsreader scene in Star Beast is great visually for telling that little bit of the story. But in a novel, it wouldn't have worked. It's too small and bitty. And I thought, all right, if I take that whole sequence out, how do I get that information across that the newsreader is saying? And realised if I then created this character Stu and had him run all the way through the book, he becomes that viewpoint character. So the newsreader is irrelevant because Stu had already seen all of that, and therefore the reader had seen it through his eyes. And I used him as the viewpoint character to introduce us to the Doctor, to introduce us to Camden, brain, gone, where are you? Camden and Camden Market, and then we follow him and he goes into the steelworks and he works at the steelworks. Marvellous coincidences. And so all of that is covered by that character, and then he tries to escape and he meets the Doctor again and he shows the Doctor into the building, and bang, from that point on, it's as it is on TV.
I'm reminded a little bit of the novelization of The Demons by Barry Letts, because there's two POV characters telling us that story. There's the Squire, who's very well played on TV, but is killed off in the middle of the third episode. And then Barry Letts gives us a character who's not on television as a POV character for the second half
which
of the book.
Which is the little monk guy.
Yeah, somebody's nephew.
Yes.
So, did you have any classic Target influences in mind when you were designing POV characters?
Well, Stuart is lifted straight, really, from I think he's called Shuey McSomething from the start of Dinosaur Invasion.
Shuey McPherson.
That's it, Shuey McPherson. That is totally the inspiration of that movie. Shuey McPherson on page 4 gets squashed by a dinosaur, and my Stu doesn't. But that's where that came from. That's my love of everything to do with Malcolm Hulk. Sits in my brain, and I was like, oh, I remember that guy, and he'd been out on a late night football match, and he'd woken up, and he was able to tell us everything that had gone on. So with my one, I thought, if he was a guy that had been the milkman back in Journey's End, and he'd lost his job because Earth got dragged away and his milk car got destroyed, he'd be a bit miffed. And so he went off and became a cleaner in the steelworks. And every time I turn around, I suddenly meet aliens coming to destroy the planet. So that's kind of why I did that. And then obviously the second viewpoint character, and the most important one of the whole book, is Sylvia. And telling Donna's story through Sylvia's eyes, and everything that happens from that point on, all from Sylvia, is a godsend, because Sylvia is just the best character, played by the best actress. And all I had in my head the whole time, as I'm expanding all this stuff, is I can hear Jacqueline King's voice. So all the stuff I did and all the stuff I thought about, she has spent 15 years with Donna trying to protect her from ever hearing about aliens or anything, because the world's been full of alien invasions. And so she has had to become the most horrible mother in the world, and it's tearing her up, because what she wants to say to Donna is, of course you're perfectly normal, I love you and you're my daughter and I adore you. But she has to keep up this awful facade of being hard-nosed and horrible to her daughter and sarcastic to her the whole time, because otherwise the possibility is something might slip, Donna might remember something, might remember the doctor, bang, her brain burns.
So, in terms of the reference material you were given, you have a rough cut to work with, you have a script.
I don't rough cut to work. I saw it once.
You saw it once.
I saw it once in a dark room with security guards with guns pointed to my head, and I'm sitting there. Seriously, I wasn't allowed to take my phone in with me, so I had a notebook and I was scribbling down notes of what people clothes they were wearing and names of shops in the background and all of this sort of stuff. And I watched it. And then I was escorted at gunpoint, obviously, out of the building and sent back to my house. And then they send you the script, and the script is only available to you online, and it's all password protected. So every time you want to look at a page, put the password back in. Everything's very, very security conscious, because these days you have to be. Because the way Doctor Who fandom works is everyone wants to find something, everyone wants to leak something. So I think the security they've put in makes total sense. Makes writing a novelization trickier, but it is absolutely sensible and great.
So the Star Beast as a novelization is not only a novelization of a TV episode, but it's a novelization of an adaptation of a comic from 1979. Last time you were on the show, we talked about the Star Beast comic, and I made the mistake of mentioning the character Beep the Meep, and you memorably corrected me. It is not Beep the Meep. That is a fandom invention.
Never Beep the Meep. Never been called Beep the Meep in the comic. Ever.
The
only time Beep the Meep was ever used was by Big Finish, actually. No, it's a complete fan invention, the name Beep the Meep. And so I went to great lengths in the novelization to actually put this into it and saying his name is not Beep, it is a rank, it is his designation in one of the little Wikipedia entries that I had great fun with.
Were there any Easter eggs from the original comic that you were able to
work
into the book?
I got the word Black Castle in there. I think the pub is called the Black Castle. Obviously, I got Sharon in there. I got, in the original, of course, Fudge and his mum is where the Meep lands. That isn't the case in this, because it's about Rose and Donna. So Fudge has become the next door neighbour. So I then used the idea of the mother and actually described her in quite some detail. And she's the woman who lives at the bottom of the alleyway, whose bins Fudge takes out every 5 minutes. And that is actually the mother from the original comic strip. She's even wearing the same flowery pinny and has the glasses and everything. And then from Star Beast 2, which we did in an annual in about 1996, or a yearbook rather, which Gary Gillett wrote, I needed another name for one of the Wrath Warriors, the one that survives at the end. So I took the name from that, and also in that comic strip, the Meep is trapped inside a Lassie film. So I had the guy that's asleep when everything's going on, and the Doctor and everyone are going through the houses, and he's watching a Lassie film.
Oh, wow.
So there's little things like that I just dropped in there.
And were there any other classic Target novelization or authors that either consciously or not worked their way into your writing style or process?
It is always Malcolm Hulke. Everything with me is Malcolm Hulke, and it's not, you know, not unbidden. It's deliberate on my part. I think Howard Malcolm Hulke have written this character. How would Malcolm Hulke have structured this thought or this memory or this self-reflection, and he's always there inside my head because he's the man that triggered me and made me want to write things.
And what's funny is this is a big convention with an amazing dealer's room, and you were sitting here with your purchases. You have the Blue Spy novelization of Ambassadors of Death, which was written by Malcolm Hulke.
The original was, yes, absolutely. And it's brilliant because of it. I mean, I'm sure David Whittaker's original version was probably wonderful as well. But Ambassador Death, when you watch it, even though his name's not on it, you can immediately tell this is a Malcolm Hulke story because it's full of black and white characters and lots of shades of grey in the middle of it, and people who start off as villains and then you end up having sympathy for them. Total Malcolm Hulke stuff. Genius of a writer.
Regan is a great villain, for example. It's one of my underrated favorite
Yes.
stories.
But even he has, you know, I think under any other TV writer, he would have just been a thug. And there is that lovely sequence when he's with Liz Shaw and he's trapped in the thing, and there's just a brief moment of vulnerability with him where he's sort of oohing and ahhing about what he should do about her and everything. And you only get that sort of thing in a Malcolm Hulke story.
So, were there any last-minute changes to Star Beast, the TV edit, which were not reflected in the novel? We often find that in the Targets, where the book reflects things that were changed for TV later on.
No, there's nothing in the TV version that isn't in the book, because I had that flexibility reasonably well up. There are scenes in the novelization that are in the script, and I think were actually shot, because I'm positive I saw the sequence where the Doctor's in Camden and he meets Rose for the first time, and he uses the sonic to create a screen for them to watch the rocket ship going, and he does this, and that's all in the book, and it's not in the TV version. And I think either they cut it out or they didn't film it, but it's in the script, and my brain has filled this in, and I have very clear visuals of seeing it. And maybe I didn't. Maybe it was just in the script, and the script is so visually good that I imagined I'd seen it. That's the only scene I think that is in the book that is absolutely not in the TV version.
Gary Russell, thank you so much for sitting with us, and really enjoy your work, and thank you very much for giving us the Star Beast in book form.
My absolute pleasure, thank you.
And I'm once again in the Gallifrey dealer's room with my good friend Dale Santos. Dale, you always have an amazing display out for sale. What are some of the highlights of your collection this year?
Let's see, what would have been the highlights this year, Jason, at Gallifrey One? William Hartnell cast card, also known as a fan card. The original 1963 version, which is just a face shot of William Hartnell. It came from that Tribe of Gum episode when they're running from the cavemen. That was one of the highlights. It's still available. And the other item that has long gone now is the Patrick Troughton fan card from that 1967, as I recall. One other item I was able to purchase today that was kind of interesting and it's close to my heart would be my Target first edition 10th Planet signed by Cyber Dad himself, Jerry Davis.
Wow.
That's probably the highlights this year, Jason. I didn't bring any of the posters this year, but from a book perspective, I think that and those autographs would be it. Yeah.
An autographed first edition 10th Planet by Jerry Davis is incredible. How did you come by that?
Oh, sorry. One of the other dealers in the room had it, and I made him an offer he couldn't refuse. And the interesting thing is, if you get a later printing of this, what you'll see is they cut a lot of the bottom off. The printings are really bad on a lot of these. If you get away from a first edition on some of these Target books, you just don't appreciate the artwork that was put on them. I can't visually really show you, but if we look, you can see how all of the the Cybermen on the first edition.
There's white border on the sides and the top, but not
That's
on the
right.
bottom. So the first edition had that, and later editions don't.
No, and what happens is something's lost in translation because the bottom where it says the first Cyberman adventure, that'll be cut off. You'll literally be almost under the neck of the Cyberman on the left. So
It's in phenomenal condition, though.
oh,
For
it's a
first edition.
lovely. It's beautiful. In all candidness, I put it up there more to show it off than to really sell it because I didn't really want to sell it. And of course, it has that lovely back artwork on it too that the early first editions had.
Which
so.
later went away, but apart from a small crease on the bottom cover and a little bit of fading from the white, it looks like it's almost brand new.
Yeah, I mean, with something this early, I mean, I don't think you could do much better in this day and age. For something, what is this going on? What was this one? 70? Was this 70?
I used to know that.
70.
75, I think.
76.
1976.
So we're talking, almost 48 years old now?
And that is almost a copy not even to... I'd be terrified to read that.
No, this would be just one that I put in with the collection of non-readers.
And you also had, I believe, a poster of the Turkish cover of one of the early novelizations.
I did. What I actually had was a Turkish poster from the Dalek Invasion of Earth movie starring Peter Cushing.
Oh, wow.
That a friend purchased. A friend from Florida picked that up earlier. This year I didn't bring any type of backing board, so it was a folded example, and I didn't have anywhere to really put it out. But I had a few people that come in that love posters, so I was able to pass it on to somebody who's going to find a good home for it and is going to get it professionally framed.
Dale, I'm always envious of the scope of your collection and also the amazing goodies that you're able to find that you don't find at too many other tables here.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, and it's always a pleasure to catch up with you, Jason.
Dale, thanks again for being on the show, and I will definitely see you here next year.
Cheers, my friend. We'll be here.
Live from show executive producer David Barsky's palatial estate on the penthouse level of the LAX Marriott. And we are all sitting in 5 separate rooms, and we are going to be having a conversation about Gallifrey One convention. And sitting around the room, going in alphabetical order by height, it's me, Jason.
This is Stacy Smith.
Dave Barsky, I noticed that you've demoted me to executive producer.
Well, here's the thing. We're sitting at lunch yesterday, and I'm talking about how hard you work as producer, and you say you don't do anything. Jim Sangster does all the work. And
Yeah,
you said...
I feel like an idiot. And he's like really active in the show, and I've done 2 things since you've started.
And you give me notes. But yeah, executive producers don't do
feel
anything.
like an idiot. We'll make you feel like an idiot later.
All right.
But
That's our job.
executive producers do what?
Absolutely nothing. They watch everybody else do the work, and that's what I'm used to in my job.
You're my EP now.
Yeah, perfect.
Mark McManus, godfather of the show.
And there's an expression, last but not least. It doesn't apply in this case. Last but not certainly least.
Yeah, most certainly least. Bill Evenson, I'm on the...
Bill and I just recently pitched I quoted Dracula a few minutes ago, so I pitched the Dracula Minute podcast to Bill. We'll start in 2029 when the Frankenstein Minute is over.
We finally...
And it'll go until 2046. Most of that is going to be the Spanish language version.
That's
with
right.
Peter Tovar,
And, but our podcast will be in Spanish.
Muy bien, yo tengo muchas palabras.
No entiendo, a little bit entendiendo, no habla.
My Polish is rusty. What do you say?
Yep, I'm working on it.
We'll do this in Yiddish, Barsky, I swear.
I'm all for that.
Have you seen the Yiddish Dracula?
If you read Bram Stoker, it's one and the same thing. Not a very philo-Semitic book, I'll tell you. Jeez. So, how are we all doing con-wise, going around the room in increasing order of IQ? Bill, how's your con?
What did he say?
Exactly. Mark?
As usual, I wish I'd gotten more sleep.
Yeah, same. Jet lag plus very full days is making me very tired.
This is Mark's second time in the U.S. and his first convention. In fact, Barsky pointed this out. Both times that Mark has come to the U.S., he's been visiting me. So his only frame of reference for United States culture is me.
And he still comes back.
Fascinated. He can't believe what he's saying.
He doesn't know any better.
I took him to Denny's for dinner. What did you have at Denny's last night? What you ordered? A very famous Denny's item off the menu.
Moon over
My hammy.
My hammy, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Well, everybody knows it's a cultural.
Yep, I was
institution.
waiting
yeah,
for you
yeah.
to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an American thing.
Yeah.
He had a milkshake too.
Oh yeah, no, milkshake. That was
Oh, that's-
delicious. Yeah.
Excellent.
They don't have those in the UK.
Don't think so. No.
They believe in eating healthy. It's a
Yeah.
healthy,
Oh, yeah.
austere lifestyle.
Yeah.
Fish and chips wrapped in newspaper. Do you eat the newspaper? I don't
You're not allowed to sell them in newspaper
Some.
anymore.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
no,
wow.
that's been gone for a few years. Yeah.
Yeah. And any year now, you're gonna get some dentists.
Yeah. Well.
And after Mark punches you in the mouth and breaks your teeth, how's your con going, Barsky?
Honestly, it's been freaking awesome. This is the most fun I've had at a con in a long time. I love this con anyway.
That's why I'm here, to bring you down a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
And Stacy,
Yeah,
how are
this
things?
is really not working out well at all.
very, very awkward. Stacy was a day late, so she's having the best time of all because she missed Friday.
Yeah, I'm having a great day. No, I'm having an excellent con. I'm a day delayed, so this feels like Saturday to me. So it's kind of surreal. But yeah, now having I'm trying to make every moment worth it because I lost 24 hours, and I certainly am doing this.
And you were sitting there in your hotel off Montreal Airport doing nothing for 24 hours, pining away at the walls.
I was in the airport for most of it.
Airports are a great place to hang out.
Yes.
It's fun.
What have we learned this weekend? Wrong answers only. Starting with Bill.
What have I learned this weekend?
Wrong answers
Oh,
only.
Goodness. I learned that Leela is my favorite companion.
You're only just finding this out now?
Hey, you said wrong answers only.
There you go.
A lot of people love Leela, is what I'm learning. She's not my favorite. I'm sorry.
It's a popular.
Let me do it again.
Get out of this podcast.
I learned that Brian Croucher is a raconteur who can hold an audience in the palm of his hand.
The operative word there is wrong answers only. So take what Mark said and invert all the words, and somewhere there is the truth. That was a very awkward reception last night.
It was very.
Who's Brian Croucher? Is that the guy that wrote?
No.
He's Travis in the second series of Blake 7.
He's in Robots of Death.
And he's in also Robots.
He's in Robots.
Which was written by Chris Batcher. His name
That's
you
what I was
mistook him
thinking.
for.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Croucher and Boucher.
Chris Croucher and Brian Batcher.
I
That
love
was
that
so
you knew
it's
what
right
I was
there.
thinking.
Well, they didn't do that intentionally.
No, I guess not.
What have we learned, Barsky?
I learned that Bill is the perfect guy to hang out with at a con.
This is not new information.
Wrong answers only.
Bill, what are we drinking?
I don't even know.
It's called Freak Show.
Oh yeah, Freak Show. Yeah, little red wine.
Yeah,
little red wine on a blah 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 afternoon.
Wait,
Who knows what day it is?
Wait, we're not still doing wrong answers only. Are we?
That's true.
What
we're drinking is
ice water with
strychnine, the usual amount of strychnine.
Stacy.
I've learned that Kevin McNally is a fine, upstanding member of the community.
Kevin McNally arrived at the con on Thursday night with high hopes, and I have to give him credit. He has inspired. Unless you're doing the dance party or karaoke on Saturday night, which is where the real galley is. Outside of those two rooms, most of the attendees here are men of a certain age with rapidly graying hair, and I'm afraid I fall into that category. Stacy, who has beaten the odds, she now has hair that is pink, purple, green, and blue, will never turn gray, unless you dye it silver. All the older guys at the con now can cosplay as Kevin McNally, and in all sincerity, that is a great thing. Because now you have a ready-made cosplay. Lots of guys with gray hair and glasses are cosplaying as Professor Jericho, and I love that. The problem is then one Kevin McNally shows up.
We're still in wrong answers only, right?
No, this is the late-breaking eyewitness newsflash with Kermit the Frog. We don't know the full details, and that'll probably never be revealed, but he has been banned from the premises, so he is no longer at this convention. That is a true story.
Yeah, and the one thing I do know that is true about that is that he did show up and start to sign autographs, but was told to leave. And I'm just
like
curious.
after all this.
Did anybody actually get one of those autographs?
Yeah, that's worth a lot now.
That's got to be the big one you want. Yeah.
Wow.
Half his name is there.
Kevin McQuit.
Kevin.
Now, since we are only audio recording this, you cannot see what we're wearing. I am in a Jim Sangster design t-shirt with James Bree. No, what a stupid fool you are from the War Games. Bill is wearing a Star Wars shirt with a Star Wars font, but it says Star Trek in Star Wars font.
It's one of the Star Wars. It's called Star Trek. They did a Star Wars that was called Star Trek.
Wrong answers only. Mark is wearing a Doctor Who shirt. And Barsky will read it out because I can't make it out from across the room.
The second Doctor, the years of his tenure and so on.
Oh yes, there are
Some
some.
and a Yeti.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
There are
It
some
was-
corners of the universe which have
Bread.
bread. Of course, I forgot that.
I thought
I
Mother-
should know this by
Come on,
heart. I
Bobby.
thought
Come
Mother
on.
was bad. Hey, I'm 3 glasses in already. For the most terrible things. We know that.
Yeah.
It's a great one, though.
I think
It's
it was
great.
free with a animation DVD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've been
Wow,
nerd
that's
shamed.
Now, Stacy is wearing a
Nothing at
tasteful,
all.
a tasteful floral print dress. Barsky is wearing his Sigap hoodie from 1987.
Oh, hold on. You do not know Greek at all, do you?
Not at all.
All right, Stacy, you're
Yeah.
a learned human.
Yes.
What is
It's
this?
it's Theta Sigma,
And what is that?
and it's like from Armageddon Factor.
There you go.
Yes.
Yes, it's brilliant. It's a Doctor Who cosplay.
And, you
it's
know,
fantastic.
but it's an
It's
actual,
the
you know,
Doctor's nickname.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's I've had this for years, and only one person has ever come up to me and said, "Oh, that's brilliant."
Stacy.
No, no. I had to ask her.
Yeah. I assumed everyone was saying that because I noticed it earlier.
No,
Yeah.
nobody
Oh,
has
right.
ever said, except
Oh,
for
wow.
Jason
Except
Tucker.
Yeah,
Jason
Jason
Tucker.
Tucker. Okay.
But no, but it's
Yeah.
significant to me because obviously it's like a college frat shirt.
Yeah.
And what year? When Pete? What
Yeah.
class of what? What does he say to the doctor?
Oh, jeez.
It's a year.
It's a
year.
year. Yeah, right.
Class of 88.
Nope.
It's
Close.
not. It's not. It's not 2024, is it?
No. I've had this for several years.
Yeah.
Class of '92, which
yeah.
is the year I graduated college.
Ah, right.
So that's why I got it.
And
Very cool.
earlier, Barsky and I and Warren Fry are all the exact same age, so we're all it was like.
Well, yeah, when
we
I got
all
this-
should have graduated.
Yeah.
Well,
that
no, I
year.
literally, when I
Yeah.
planned this out, I was going to get this, and I knew several other people who was born in 1970, so I figured, oh, they graduated college the same year that I have. And I talked to Bill, it's like, you know, he got flunked out or something,
Yeah.
and so he didn't graduate in 92. Warren, same thing, and I'm just like, it looks kind of weird. I was going to have a fraternity. My own geek fraternity.
I
Now,
did think
now,
that worked
now
out.
we're the fraternity.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
did graduate in '92 from Brown Institute, so
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to buy you one.
it's post-secondary. I don't know.
I don't even know what that means. Anyway.
It means college.
But Barsky is. I am the games master on this show, and I have challenged everybody here to 20 questions and to limericks and to guess that cliffhanger. Stacy and I did a dramatic live guess that cliffhanger last year for the
Yeah.
Enemy of the World episode. I understand that Barsky has challenged me to a game, a death-defying game from which I might not escape with my wits intact.
Well, yeah, no, listen, you famously called me out since about how I feel about a certain game that you actually devised, correct?
Which game would this be?
Well, you said it like 3 times already this weekend.
Yes, but not on this recording.
Oh, okay.
My audience-
Oh, so you're gonna make me say it?
Of course, of course.
All right, the limericks. I think I might have been your first victim on limericks.
But here's the thing: I didn't design. That game was stolen and imported
Yeah.
lock, stock, and barrel from NPR's quiz show. Wait, don't tell me.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
fully blaming you. I totally understand that.
It is a great idea. Your email account is named for one of the most famous poets of all time. I figured you were the perfect choice to appreciate the subtlety of my rhyme.
I understand. I appreciate it. But anyways, Jim Sangster actually did a fair job for the Gunfighters limericks, so he inspired me. And I honestly devised a few only in the last couple of days. I wanted some more people. Like I said, I wanted some more of your podcast luminaries and Bill to come by and have some fun.
I was around.
Yeah. But anyways, I have devised these as an ode to you, Jason, and the podcast for the work you've done and how much we all appreciate what you do.
And I appreciate the wonderful sentiment. I am sure what is about to follow is me being roasted in limerick form.
Well, okay.
I'm glad you're happy.
Anyways, so look, I've only written 3, and again, they're kind of quick, and you guys all know the format of the limerick, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the first one, and I'm open to the field, not just Jason. If
Okay.
anyone can, because you all will probably know the answers. They're not difficult. First one is, there is a certain way Jason gets, as faithful listeners place their bets. They know it will be soon, as he nearly does swoon, whenever he moots those wretched...
Something that ends in ets.
I like it. I think you're going the right direction.
New York Jets. No.
You know it. Whenever he moots those wretched,
Anybody want to try and steal?
you know it is.
That wretched square again?
Mets.
Mets.
Of
Oh.
course. You went with the other New York sports team that rhymes with Mets.
You really didn't get that?
No one told me there'd be sports in this thing.
Yeah, well, that's what we all said about his podcast.
Yeah. That's true. I did
That's all
fast
we
forward
ever
through some
talked about is
baseball.
baseball, yeah.
Now, if you had rhymed New York Mets 3 times, I would have picked up a lot faster.
Maybe.
Well, I did it in the format that is actually used in a limerick.
Well, you have stumped me. You have stumped me for sure. But wait! Don't tell me you get 2 out of. If I get 2 out of 3, I win Bill Evenson's voice on my home answering device.
All right. This one comes with a disclaimer as well. You need to use the American pronunciation.
It's about time we got an advantage.
All right. Every single week, Jason forks learned notions to hungry dorks. For each yarn he toils, but yet his blood boils when guests wax poetic about
Quarks.
There you go.
Oh. I can't help but think that's about me.
I literally had to pick someone up on like an outside in piece where they rhymed Quark from Deep Space Nine with Spark, and I'm like, those don't rhyme.
They do in this country. They do.
In this country, they do. Oh my god, that's terrible.
Do you find that a lot of people that you know say data, and you're just like you're
Yeah.
saying that word wrong
It's
because
data. Yeah.
Star Trek: The Next Generation told
Yes.
us what that word
Jean-Luc
is.
Picard gave us the script for
Yeah.
how to pronounce the word
Yeah.
data.
And I can't.
Yeah.
Every time anybody says it, I think,
Yeah.
"What is the matter with
Yeah,
you?"
yeah.
But I'm working IT, so maybe
Yeah.
I hear.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you work with
hear
data.
Yes, I hear it a lot too. Yes.
Well, for every character on TNG, Tasha Yar, Tasha Yar, Tasha Yar. My Brooklyn neighbor, Patrick Stewart, rolls up, Tasha.
Yeah.
Who's Tasha? All right, I'm 1 out of 2.
All right, well, that's not bad.
Not too bad.
If I get the
You're
third,
in first place.
All right, this one's probably the easiest. It's the last one I wrote. I think I wrote it this morning, right when Bill went to bed.
after several bottles of scotch.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Guest after guest take their picks, regardless whether an author sticks. Cotton, Hulk, and Martyr. Anyone would be a good starter, although Jason clearly prefers.
Terrence Dix.
Well, I wasn't gonna say. You got to go with the rhyme. There's no
Yeah.
first names in any of this. You got to go with the format, Jason.
This is a family show. What worms?
It's a family, and I'm on it. What do you want? What's
For me,
happening?
words that rhyme with Terrence were right there. What are some other words that rhyme with Terrence?
So many.
But in the list I gave, I only gave last names.
Jason
So I'm
was-
giving you half a point on that.
Jason was taught to read by his parents.
Oh, look at you.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
He was given his first Target book by Uncle Clarence. And while he loves to read, he consumes books at great speed, especially those by our favorite author, Terrence. There you go.
There we are.
I
Well
did
done.
that on the fly.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Impressive.
Well, Jason, thank you again for everything you do. It's a wonderful podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic.
Always a pleasure.
Bill, you're going to have to be on the show sometime.
Yeah, maybe
never been
one
on
of
the
these
show?
times that I'm on, I'll actually be there. Yeah.
You were at least once, right? Or twice? I don't know.
He said 3 or 4, but he only remembers 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Well, that's on brand. Yeah.
He's got more editing to do when I'm on. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
Well, guys, gals, it has been a pleasure being here at Galley with you. I have been this is my 9th Galley, and I've only missed 2 years out of the last 10. And I hope to keep coming indefinitely, and hopefully you're all here and we can record same time next year with slightly more appropriate humor.
Slightly.
Never gonna happen.
Yeah. You're at the wrong room, buddy.
Any final benedictions, Mark?
No, thank you very much for welcoming me to my first galley. It's been absolutely amazing, and I'll definitely be back.
Hopefully it's not your last.
next time on Doctor Who Literature, I will be covering a novelization, but not of a Doctor Who television episode, and a Target book that does not have a number. It is the first Target paperback released in the calendar year 1987, in January of that year. 1987 was a very important part of my life. That was the year that I was 13 going on 14, and a lot of things happened to me. One of the things that did not happen to me in 1987 was reading this novelization or listening to the audio play, the radio play on which it is based. It is by Eric Sayward. It is the novelization of Slipback, the 1985 Doctor Who radio play that came out during the TV hiatus. I will be joined by a first-time guest to discuss this interesting book, and hopefully my guest next week has a much more favorable opinion of the book and radio serial than do I. But we are going in publication order, and this is one of the speed bumps on the way. If you love Doctor Who Slipback, come listen next week so you can disagree with me. And if you hate Doctor Who Slipback, boy, next week is going to be the episode for you. Next time on Doctor Who Literature. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Doctor Who Literature. The executive producer of this podcast is David Barsky. This week's episode was produced by Jim Sangster and yours truly. The episode was written and edited by me. Our logo was designed by Jim Sangster. Special thanks to my special guest of the week, Gary Russell, and many thanks as well to Dale Santos, David Barsky, Mark McManus, Bill Evenson, and Stacy Smith, who were also heard on this week's recording. This podcast can be found on most of your podcast apps of choice. You can find all past episodes at podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/DrWhoLit. It really helps if you rate 5 stars and subscribe. You can find me on Blue Sky and YouTube at Doctor Who Novels, that's Dr Who Novels, and on email at Doctor Who Literature, that's drwholiterature@gmail.com. Please drop me a line with your comments, questions, and suggestions. Thank you for listening, and whatever you do, keep turning the pages.
Direction point! Direction point!
A Doctor Who podcast network.